Edwina Murphy-Droomer is my name, and I want to warmly welcome you to this interview in the series that is all about unleashing the audacious woman within. Today, we have with us Jenn Ludington, who is a high-performance fitness and mindset coach who over the last 15 years has worked with thousands of people and has accumulated an incredibly deep pool of wisdom that we get to dive in today, focusing particularly on vulnerability and how we get to show up wearing all the hats that we get to wear as women with authenticity and with courage. Jenn, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us today.
I am so honored to be here, Edwina. I love spending time with you, so this is a treat.
Thank you. I've just noticed the light's changing again. I feel like I'm blending into the wall behind me. You've got your beautiful summer tan on and I've got my winter glow happening. Jenn, for those in our audience that haven't had the pleasure of meeting you yet, would you take a minute to tell us a little bit about who Jenn Ludington is and how you came to be doing the work that you do now?
I would love to. Thank you, Edwina. And thanks to everybody who's watching. I think this is so powerful that we're all connected in this way. Yeah. But my name is Jenn Ludington, and my community knows me as Jenn the Generator. And I am a high performance mindset and health coach. Yeah. And I help people generate the power to free themselves from the imprisonment of their lies or their beliefs. And I really talk about how to blow up your beliefs instead of blowing up our life. And so that self-sabotage runs rampant, and we really have to gut check. We were just talking off camera about gut checking, and that's what I help people with.
Beautiful. So I think, if we can, there's a couple of different pieces. Obviously, in the time that I've known you, you are the sports woman, you are the exercise woman, you are the fitness queen. But there's another piece of that I think actually comes before that, which is the mindset stuff. And so I think if we can start there, looking at if it's all right with you, I know that, recently you did a post about wearing the many hats that you wear and how we get to, as women, in the process of unleashing this audacious woman within, take down the walls of the boxes that we put ourselves in and become comfortable with trying on lots of different hats. So let's dive in there first.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. That post sparked a lot with my audience and with a bigger audience. And when your viewers go to my Instagram, because they should look at this post, it's a very audacious post.
Yeah.
And the reason I did that was because I wanted to draw attention to the fact that I felt so suffocated with these identities that we attached to ourselves. And for years, I felt so attached to this identity of, like you just said, the fitness girl, the woman who's always out just, getting after her exercise and paying really close attention to her nutrition. And I got really caught in that cycle, Edwina. And it started to become my identity instead of really gut checking and going back to my authentic values of who I really am outside of this fitness exterior. And so I felt like I got pigeonholed, right, into this version of who I really didn't even feel aligned with. Yeah. It was just, I was doing all the things that I was supposed to do in my space, right, and in that part of the industry. Yeah. And I was really chasing things that didn't really matter to me. Yeah. And I realized that some of the other areas of my life that are maybe a little bit edgy, that are maybe a little bit less acceptable culturally, really made me feel alive. Yeah. And that all those hats were just as important as the fitness queen hat that I wore so proudly. And so I did a post. It was actually a very artistic photo that my photographer did for me, and it was me half naked, and I was topless, but I was covering myself, but I was smoking a cigarette. And sometimes I'm not the fitness queen, sometimes I'm not perfect, I'm human. And sometimes I like to step into this very sexy, raw, wild side. Yeah. Sometimes I like to step into a very the great role of being a mother to 3 incredible children.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like to step into a very soft feminine role with my marriage.
Yeah.
And sometimes I like to get after it on my bike or in the weight room or in my business. And all of those hats are equally as valuable and important and don't need judgment, right? I don't need your approval to be all of those. I don't need anyone's approval to take those on and explore them.
Yeah.
And see how they feel.
Yeah.
And so I want to, that my point with the post, and even speaking here today, Edwina, is wherever you are, you don't have to choose.
Yeah.
You can be in the middle, and the middle doesn't have to be messy.
Yeah.
You can dip your toes into different hats. You can wear different hats. And in my post, I had, hat on like a baseball hat, a straw hat, all these different hats that I wear, a chauffeur hat, taking my kids everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's the intention with the post, was try them on. Don't be afraid of them, because we get to be all different parts of being a woman.
Yeah. In the vision building that I do with women, it's like, first of all, who wrote the rule book? Who said you have to be a certain way? I think particularly as mothers, we can put ourselves in a box, or we have to be sensible, respectable, and we come with all these boxes. But if we look outside ourselves at the women that we're very drawn to, we can play all those roles. We all fell in love with Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman for a reason, because we saw ourselves in each stage. We kind of want to wear the sexy boots and the mini skirt and, lounge with a cigarette, that kind of, and we want the beautiful suit and the 5-star hotel. And so we can look at, the hooker of Julia Roberts, the Audrey Hepburns, and one of my favorite movies is Chocolat. And so the gorgeous village woman, I have all those pieces in me, as you've talked about, but having the audacity to show up in those different ways. And what do we then do with the criticism or the judgment of others, I think is what you've faced as well.
Yeah, it was very interesting how I framed it for my audience, because I did get a lot of very negative feedback. I got a lot of very positive feedback, but I also got a lot of very negative feedback. And, I've come to a place in my life where I realize that I'm not for everyone. And I never will be. I tried for a long time to be liked by everyone. Yeah. And I finally come to this point where, instead of where I used to live, which was I would get into a defense mode, Edwina, with the judgment. Yeah. And I would think that I would have to justify myself. Yeah. Yeah. And I would think that I would have to prove it and say, no, I'm right. You're wrong. And now I understand, I have compassion for people that are still in that space where they can't freely see people for the beautiful humans that they are, and instead their judgments are passed. So now I just have to take a step back and be brave enough and trust myself enough to know that I don't have to justify my actions or behaviors. I'm a grown woman. Yes. And I get to choose my behavior whenever I feel, and it can switch day to day. And it doesn't matter. Yeah. And so stepping into that is very powerful and audacious. Yeah. And it's taken me a very long time to get here. Yeah. It's one of the gifts of getting a bit older is caring a bit less about what other people think. And, there's always going to be somebody that judges. If you've got curly hair and you straighten it, somebody will judge it. I remember talking about, I put on a lot of weight in my life at one point. Nobody ever said to me, oh my goodness, I'm concerned, Edwina, about the weight that you're putting on. But when I lost weight, people were very happy to say, oh my gosh, don't lose any more weight. You're getting, we can comment on the thin, but the fat has a whole nother stigma around it. You can't, there's always going to be somebody that's prepared to stick a pin in your bubble, I think is the... Yes. And I think the problem with that is we walk around thinking that it's like everybody's thinking the same things we are. right? We're all having judgments about other people, and we're all trying to manage our judgments. We're all not really, I mean, sometimes I feel like everyone's kind of walking around without being honest, right? We're lying to ourselves about how we're feeling. We're lying to our intimate partners about how, or withholding how we're feeling. And that authenticity gets really muddy when we're not really being honest. And I always say, you need to be honest unless it's causing harm, right? So honesty for me is not withholding. Honesty for me is sharing my truth and my voice. And I have to either decide, okay, is this serving this person, or, you know, is it not serving this person to say this out loud? And I understand what you were saying, but also I think there's a line with things like weight, or, you know, things like that you can harm someone. But I do feel like honesty is a lost art in our culture a lot, because we all want to put on this Instagram or social media front where it's rainbows and unicorns, but we're all going through the same stuff. I mean, we're all afraid of the same stuff. We all just want to be loved and accepted, right? And we all just want to be held and nurtured and safe.
Oh my God.
And I think the more we can talk about that and really be raw and real about what we're feeling and our honest thoughts and feelings and emotions, I think the better off we are.
Yeah. It's a powerful thing to surround yourself with people that will lift you up and support whatever mission you choose to be on. It makes a big difference. Yeah. Tribe.
A tribe. Yeah. Community is important. And I think that, you know, during these crazy times, I think that we've also pulled back a lot from our community, not any fault of our own, but I do feel that in my life, that there's a little disconnect, right? Where there's not that human connection. There's not that, you know, deep, meaningful conversations that you get to have with people that you love. And I think the best way we can do it is like this, right? Is getting connected in these kind of communities with women that can really help support you and pull you forward, and have those real conversations.
Yes. Let's dive into fitness, but I'm going to break it down into 3 bits, because this is how my brain works. So first of all, we want to have the vision, of how we want to look. The next step is why. And, you know, it's not difficult to come up with a vision of how we want to look. But if we can dive into the why is it so important that we be fit and strong? What is the connection there?
Yeah, this is the best question ever. I have very mixed emotions about fitness, which might sound odd coming from someone who spent the last 15 years in owning gyms and being, you know, very much involved with fitness community. But here's the thing. Fitness to me, and part of my story, was it pulled me out of a place in my life where I was, my voice was cut off. I was suffocating in my marriage, my first marriage. And I felt very disempowered. And it was an abusive relationship. It was very, very challenging. And fitness for me, it really made me feel powerful, and in a way that I couldn't feel in any other part of my life. So it gave me strength because I was feeling weak everywhere else. So it was the one place I found my power. And that was fitness for me in that moment. I do feel that it is a great tool because it's a metaphor for life, right? You have to go through the pain, that initial pain of fitness to get to paradise, right? Because in order to feel your best and be strong and be able to have the freedom to go and run with your kids, swim in the ocean, climb mountains, and experience all of the beauty of life, you have to be strong. But in order to get to the other side, you've got to go through a lot of pain. And it's not easy. It's not easy getting up at 5 a.m. before your kids are awake and getting yourself to the gym. It's not easy doing those reps when no one's looking, right? And you're having to sit with yourself and making sure you do your workout. It's not easy to feel sore. It's not easy to make green smoothies. It's not easy. And there's pain involved. There's pain. And I think that on the other side of it, it's magnificent because you feel so empowered.
Yeah.
And it's a great metaphor for life, is you have to go through some of that adversity and go through a lot of pain to get to the pleasure or the paradise on the other side.
Yes.
With tough conversations, with business, with intimate partnerships, all of that, right?
Yeah.
But there is a flip side, I think. And I do want to speak into this, because for me, it used to be about the way that I looked. Always. Oh, Edwina. I wanted to be perfect all the time. And if I wasn't, it took me down a road of, when I was standing on stages for 10 years, if I wasn't perfect, I thought it was going to limit my ability to make money in my job. I thought I wasn't going to be living into the image of what fitness perfect looked like. So I developed massive eating disorders, massive over-exercise habits that were not serving me and cost me health for a lot of years. And so I think there's a tipping point. And I think some women like me, I was attached to that identity. Yes. So it became empowering. And then there was a point where it actually disempowered me.
Yeah.
Because I felt like all my value was now stuck in that vision of, I've got to look perfect and be fit all the time, like society tells us we are supposed to, in order to be attractive or wanted or safe in our marriage even. All these things we're told. And so I almost gave my power away to that identity. Yeah. And now, right, I love to move my body.
Yeah.
I don't always call it fitness, because I think there is a little bit of a negative connotation with that in my experience. So I call it movement and strength. And I love to move my body so that I can feel strong.
Yeah.
Not because I can look good in a bikini. It helps. I'm not going to lie. It does it. It's not bad, but it's a function of me wanting to feel empowered and strong and free in my body.
Yeah.
I'm not confined by it. Right. So my body doesn't prevent me from doing things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think it's an interesting conversation. I've got 2 clients at the moment that both have wearing a bikini on their vision boards. And what I notice is how apologetic we get. So many women get in that conversation. And I almost heard it there for you, Jenn. We're so programmed to be apologetic for wanting to feel and look beautiful. Mm-hmm. And it's like, how about we just say, I want to wear a bikini because I want to look freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Unapologetically.
And you get to own that. Yeah. And I've been in that, right? Yeah. And it's not bad or good. There's no judgment about it. And women come to me all the time. They're like, I want a 6-pack. I'm like, great. Okay.
Yeah.
But now I've had a 6-pack, right? Yeah. I've had all the muscle you could want. I've had all the fitness bikini trophies you could imagine.
Yeah.
That's not what I want anymore. Yeah. But if it's what you want, more power to you.
Yeah.
Right? No judgment. So maybe I would want it if I hadn't already have had it. But I still, I'm going out to the lake tomorrow with my family, and I take care of myself. I show up for myself, so my body follows suit. Form follows function.
Yeah. I think the conversation around this, the pain before the reward is so relevant right now, because there is this energy that I'm seeing that's prevalent across the globe, with lockdown happening still for so many of us. And a lot of people are in that disempowering place. And, we get to look at the things that we can control, and we can get up and move our bodies. We can make, feel more, feel stronger, feel fitter, feel more vital, more energy from this, from movement, from being fitter. And, I just think that that's one of the most powerful things we can do. Obviously, I want to talk about food, because that's the other piece of this beautiful puzzle. But so perhaps for the women that are listening to this that are not moving enough, and, let's look at some starting points. How do we start? It's always that chicken and the egg, isn't it? We don't feel like it because we've lost motivation, and we're not feeling strong, we're not feeling fit. So actually just getting out the door is the first step. But, where do you go from there?
Yeah, great question. So first of all, I want to tell everyone listening, motivation is wavering. right? So that it's a feeling.
Yeah.
And if I allowed my motivation to dictate my life, I wouldn't be anywhere, right? And even like sometimes I'm not motivated to make dinner for my kids. It still means they get to eat.
Yep.
So I understand motivation's hard. It's hard for me. I mean, there's days I don't feel like doing it. I'm not motivated. And that's the thing that you need, that we can shift. So I think for women, the most important thing to remember is you're not always going to feel like it. And that's why I have this very amazing system, I think, that I think really supports women. And what I tell women, and I do this myself, is create a framework. So, and allow yourself to have grace. So look, I don't always feel like going to the gym and doing a HIIT workout. I sometimes wake up, Edwina, and I'm tired. Yeah. Maybe I was up with my daughter late. Maybe I didn't eat well the day before and I'm tired. But what happens in that moment is you can either say, I'm tired, and go back to bed. Or you can say, you know what, I'm tired, so I'm going to go anyway, and I'm going to walk on the treadmill. Or I'm going to go for a nice stretch. Or I'm going to move my body in a very restorative, slow way. And so that allows for that motivation to waver, and you still give your permission to show up how you're actually, feeling in that moment. Like, for example, yesterday I felt great. Like I woke up on fire. So I did a long, hard, gnarly workout. Yeah. But today I woke up and it's still Friday. So Monday through Friday, I create an hour a day, no matter what, for movement. Yeah. But I give myself grace to move how I feel inclined to move. So today was a walk with my dogs, but I still walked and moved for an hour, right? Yep. Because I have that space set aside for myself. So I know that no matter what, Monday through Friday, I show up. It can look different. Yep. Yep. And it can look different week to week, day to day, but I show up. Yeah. And that grows the strength, right? It grows my commitment button. It grows all of those. I have an imaginary commitment button that's my alarm, right? I wake up, I'm like, okay, snooze, that's my commitment button. I'm not hitting it, I'm getting up, right? And so it strengthens that. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, it's been 3 months and I've gotten up 4 days a week or 5 days a week and moved my body. Yeah. How cool is that? Yeah. No matter how I was feeling, I still moved my body. Yeah. And if I can do that, what else can I do? Right? Yeah.
Finding that, it is that human condition that the better we feel, the better we treat ourselves. The worse we feel, the worse we treat ourselves. It's getting yourself over the hump. If we're feeling flat, if we're feeling, stodgy and no energy, and that's when I tend to want to look for the chocolate or the bad food or the glass of wine but the better I feel, the more vital I feel, the better I want to feed myself, the more I want to move, and then that just becomes this beautiful forward motion. So it's getting ourselves over into that more sustained energy. So if we look at getting that sustained energy, yes, we have slumps, but how do what is your kind of formula?
Yeah. So I think the best thing, if women aren't moving right now, like if you want to, right, and you don't know where to start, you feel like you've lost your feel good, you feel like you're stuck in that kind of COVID sludge. I was like, oh, I understand. And this is what I've been sharing with my clients. Look, the best form of exercise that you can do, no matter how you feel, is walking. Yep. And I know that might sound redundant, but it is the simplest, it's the easiest thing to do. And most of the time you can do it outside, not having to worry about a gym, because I know a lot of them are closed. But I tell my clients, my friends, my family, if you can't do anything else, get yourself on a 20-minute walk every day. That's all. Just start there. Yeah. And then the next week say, okay, I'm going to do a 25-minute walk every day. And start building incrementally slow on top of that. And the other thing I want to really hit home with women is it doesn't have to be all or nothing. So please, if you feel like I don't have a half an hour, I don't have 20 minutes, that's okay. Yeah. Take a 5-minute walk around your block. Come back. After lunch, take another 5-minute walk around your block. After dinner, take another 5-minute walk around your block. It doesn't have to be all at the same time. It just needs to be cumulative, right? So I call them fitness snacks. And I even, like, during the day, because I sit all the time now, it's just part of my job. Edwina, I know you probably sit a lot too. I will set my timer and I will do just some squats next to my desk, and I'll sit back down again. By the end of the day, I've done 100 squats. It's like going to the gym. So I encourage women, just do a little bit or do a lot, but honor yourself for doing it, and don't beat yourself up for not doing it to the degree that you think you should. Right? So that would be the first step for me with women is number one, just go for a walk. And number two, sleep. Yes. Please sleep.
Thank you.
So this is something that we don't give a lot of accolades to. There's not like people going, yes, go sleep.
Yeah, absolutely.
But number one, walking in nature, preferably. It takes cortisol levels. If you can do it with shoes that aren't rubber, you can get grounded in earth. That's even better for stress. And try to sleep for at least 7 to 8 hours every single night. Protect your sleep. Just guard it. And there's one more thing, Edwina. I'm sorry, I don't mean to just keep going, but it's water. Very basic stuff. So the basic stuff is actually are the things that can propel you the fastest forward. They create tons of momentum because it will immediately increase your energy and your mood. So the walking will increase your mood. It has great stress lowering abilities. It will increase the endorphins in your body. The sleep will help you recover and restore how your brain functions. And the water will hydrate all those cells, all the mitochondria, so that will increase energy in your body. So 3 basic things that can create tons of momentum for you to get to that next level of fitness.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we throw in food?
You know me, of course.
we can't not throw in food. We can't not throw in food. And it's, it is, I always preface this with, there is always evidence for what we're looking for. Whatever diet we feel like is going to serve us, we can find evidence for why that's the most perfect diet or why it's the most dreadful diet. So whether that is all paleo, 90% meat, whether that's vegan, whether it's raw, whatever it is, we are going to find evidence for what we look for. But it is that real food that is the underlying philosophy that is undeniable. So having worked with so many women, and not only that, but in your own life, what have you found works really well for you? What are the underpinnings that you think are non-negotiable?
Thank you for asking. I do want to preface my response to this also is I am the queen of N=1, right? So like you, Edwina, I use I'm sure you do. I use myself as a test, right? So I have done everything. I've done everything from vegan to Atkins to keto to, all of it, and somewhere in between at some point in my life. The key for me is women. The first thing that we need to look at is our protein. So non-negotiable for me is baseline for women need to dramatically increase our protein intake. Now, I'm not going to get into a conversation today about what's the best protein, because I know that vegans have a very powerful stand, like you said, and carnivores have a very powerful stand. So wherever you get your protein, please make sure that you're getting at least, and this is a very big number for most people, but this is what I'll stand behind this every time. It's a pound. So for every pound of healthy body weight you want to be, so say you're 150 pounds and you want to be 130, let's just say, you want to get 130 grams of protein per day. Okay. That's my opinion. People can take it and argue it this way, and they can argue it that way. That's my opinion. That's what works best for me. And that's what has worked well for lots of my clients. And so the non-negotiable for me is protein. After that is good, healthy fat. We need that for brain health. Our endocrine system needs it for proper hormone function. And then the third non-negotiable is your green leafies. So I start with that. I start with protein, good healthy fat, green leafies.
Yep.
And if you're putting that into your body and you're nourishing yourself deeply with nourishing whole foods, it's less likely, not 100%, but less likely you're going to be binging.
Yeah.
And not feeling satiated, because the protein will help you feel satiated, the fat will help your hormones, and the greens will help, give you all those micronutrients that your body needs.
Yeah.
So those three things combined with lots of good water, sleep, and walking. Yeah. There's your starting point.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest challenges for women is the association of food with emotions, and rather than just as a fuel, because we've all grown up with using food to celebrate, using food to commiserate, using food for everything except perhaps just as a fuel. And I know that that's been a powerful kind of reset for lots of people that I speak to, is if we start to look at what are we actually using food for? What is the purpose behind eating? Yes, it gets to be a celebration. I don't want to take that away from people. But the primary use of food is fuel. So if we want to be vital, energetic, full of energy and, this well-being, then it stands to reason that our food represents that.
I agree with you. And there is a lot of emotion for women around food. I'm not going to deny that. It's been my nemesis, and it has been my nemesis for a long time.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is my opinion. So it's less likely that women will use food emotionally if they're actually nourished with a very high protein, high fat diet. So this is the thing that healed me from my eating disorders, from my attachment to food as an emotional release. Yeah. And I'm going to be very, very clear with women right now. If you are not eating protein and fat, your brain is going to constantly be preoccupied with food as a fixer, as a healer, as a boredom release, as a stress release. But when you heal your body with proper nourishment, you also heal your mind. Yeah. Because it's all connected. We know that our gut speaks to our mind. It's our second brain. So when we're taking care of nourishing our body and not, really living in the scarcity of where I just want to pick at food all day, and we really just sit down and have a meal that nourishes you, you're less likely to use it for other purposes, and you start to feel better. And so I'm a very big proponent of teaching women to eat enough. Eat food. And eat the right food. And I know it's scary. And I just want to say this out loud, Edwina. I know it's scary. It scared me. I thought I was going to gain weight. I thought if I ate a big meal like that, or a nourishing meal, I was going to puff my stomach out and not look right, or gain weight, or the scale was going to change the next day. But consistently nourishing your body so it's not in starvation will not only help you build a better body and a better foundation, but it will also heal the obsession with what am I going to eat next? What's on the menu? What do I need to put in my mouth to subdue whatever I'm feeling? So my first step with women when healing emotional ties to food is protein and fat.
Yeah. It's, that gut-brain connection. I mean, there's been a lot of conversation around that over the last few years. And I had an interesting experience of doing a cleanse for 43 days and lost about 8 kilos. I just needed, it was my, COVID recovery. But about a week ago, I've got one of my daughters is a budding chef, and she decided that she wanted to make a cheesecake and nachos. We haven't had nachos forever. And it's like, okay, and normally that is just not something that I would eat. That day I chose to eat it. The next day I was so lethargic and teary and just felt depressed. And once upon a time, I would have never actually understood that connection, but it is powerful. So I just wanted to plant that so that the women who are listening can start to notice the effect on your mood, the food that you eat. It plays a big role.
Oh, a huge role. And you're right, that self-awareness and doing some self-experimentation is a powerful tool also, because what works for me may not work for you, Edwina.
Yeah.
But what is a really good tool also is pay attention not to the weight on the scale the next day. Pay attention to how you feel.
Yeah.
Give yourself a rating of 1 to 10 on energy for, maybe you play with writing down what you're eating, and then rate yourself energy wise and how you feel mentally and emotionally every day for a week. And then go back and look at your journal and say, okay, this is what eating does to me. This is what it can do for me or prevent me from doing. So those are some of the things too I didn't pay attention to the other day when I said yesterday I got up and I had a great workout. I felt amazing. I was like, oh, what did I eat?
Yeah.
I want to do that again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, success leaves clues. It's like, look for where, what's fueling that energy and passion for life. Yeah.
Yes.
So Jenn, what I would love to ask you is this, and we've looked at these various different phases and things that you've done in your life. It is just a snippet because I know just what an incredible story you have in the journey that you've got to where you are. But if I was to ask you, what is the most audacious thing you've done in your life? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
26 hours of natural childbirth.
That's a first in this series. You are the first one to bring up childbirth, and that is absolutely perfect. That is absolutely perfect. Yeah.
It's truly, that's pretty audacious.
Yeah.
But as women, we give life.
Yes.
We give life, and we forget that, how powerful we are and how strong we are. And that moment made me even more audacious because I have a child.
Yeah.
And what do I want to model for her? So that was the start of me being my most audacious self, was giving birth to this perfect little human.
Yeah.
And in this powerful moment of just raw, real feminine power. Yeah. And then showing up for her in that way every day since.
Yeah. That gives me chills. It really does. And, I think there's a theme here. We talk about we can do hard things and look what you get out the other side. I mean, childbirth could not be a more perfect example of that. And it comes down to knowing that it's going to be so worth it, doesn't it?
Yes. And what's funny, and think about this too.
Yeah.
We've all gone, as women, we go through labor and we have this beautiful, amazing human.
Yeah.
And then we forget about the pain.
Yeah.
It's gone in an instant.
Yeah.
And so I always talk to women about that too, is the pain is momentary, right? But what you get through that journey, you can't ever give that away. That's with you forever. Yeah. And so if we can think about our life in that way and going through those moments of what we're going to create on the other side, that's pretty audacious. Yeah.
We can do hard things.
We can.
Yeah. Jenn, I know you've got a beautiful gift for our audience. Could you take a moment to let them know what that is?
Yeah, I put something really fun together, and I felt like during COVID, I know that it's really challenging to get to gyms and get out. And so I put together a really nice 5-day free fitness kind of video series that's me in my house. It's actually in my garage. And it's very simple. So it's simple movements that just get you moving in under 30 minutes. You don't need any equipment. And it's a way for you to start showing up for yourself audaciously and in your own power, in the comfort of your own home, so that there's no excuses and you can get it done and feel great and have some fun while doing it.
Yeah. Love it. So we can start with the vision of what we're going to look like at the other end, tap into that why we want to do it, and then you've given us the tool to actually get there. Perfect. Thank you so much, Jenn. This has been a fantastic conversation, and it is just such a delight to connect with you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Edwina.
I hope you enjoyed that interview, as is the case in all these interviews. What I am so passionate about doing is planting the seeds of possibility in your heart and mind. Just looking at Jenn gives us a clear picture of how she has worked out this piece about how to be completely confident, strong, fit, and healthy in her body. Her vitality, her wellness just exudes from every pore in her body. So she is giving, you know, as I like to say, success leaves clues. She's giving you a gorgeous gift of, you know, this workout series where we get to start working on being more powerful, strong, fit in our bodies. But it's just not just that piece. That is, of course, the how to. What we need to start with is the vision of who we want to be. How do we want to show up in the world, in our vitality, in our wellness, in our hunger and enthusiasm and passion for life? And then it is the why. Why do we want to be that way? And then, of course, Jenn has given you the tools to start on that fitness journey. Have fun with it, play with it, enjoy it, dream big, and unleash that beautiful, amazing, incredible, audacious woman within. All right, that's it from me today. So much love, and bye for now.